this that don't. Stoneco is the owner of both sides, so they'll sign one petition as the property owners, and then there's gonna be another petition that has at least seven freestanding residents of the township to sign on that, and being that it doesn't affect any kind of water, if it hit water, ran across water, ended at water, it's a whole different ballgame. You know, that brings in Eagle and DNR and all kinds of stuff. But then this one doesn't. It'll be up to you to decide whether you want to allow the abandonment or not. And so I'm working on all that. I'll probably have some updated information at your next board meeting. And then the following board meeting from that would be the board meeting we would need to take the action. So that would be the 22nd is when we would need to do that. We have 20 days from when they filed the petition to act on it.
May 22nd, is that what we're
Yes.
talking?
So he's gonna try to get me the petition like on the 5th. Or all the documents from Stoneco and all those signed petitions. And then we'll have the one from Moscow by then, or shortly after. I think their meetings that week, I think.
Second Tuesday of the month.
And so.
Excuse me, Thursday. It's the same day as our meeting, actually.
Yes, and being that the first of the month is on a Thursday, they'll have theirs on the 8th. And so the following 2 weeks is when we'll have this meeting. So we'll have the Moscow resolution, we'll have the 2 petitions that are notarized.
Moscow meets the same day we meet. Moscow
Yes,
Township.
the prior 2 weeks, on the 8th.
So on May 8th, they'll have it.
Right, because we'll have the 22nd. Okay, I'm sorry, yeah.
And so we should have all that information. I believe Stoneco is gonna be here to answer any questions. I can have them here on the 8th if you like. If you've got any questions for them.
So how much of Bivens Road are we talking about closing?
1,200 feet. 1,200 feet from Mosierville Road.
South, 1,200 feet.
Which comes out, there's a fence road that comes out there, and that is that 1,200 feet mark.
Okay, so from US 12 north to Mosierville Road, is that approximately?
That's approximately a mile.
A mile. So 1,200 feet would be about,
A little less than a
About
quarter mile.
yeah.
In the ballpark.
So, in this discussion, wasn't there something talked about sometime about Stoneco paying to have Bivens Road paved from where we close it off south to 12?
They've agreed, I guess, with them and the residents in the township that they don't want it paved.
You're kidding.
So.
Idiots.
So. This is where it'll get fun.
That wasn't legible.
This is where it's gonna get fun, and this is where I'll need your input.
Guidance?
Yes, very much. So, Michigan Paving, which I'm, Stoneco, has given this to Moscow Township as what they're gonna do for abandoning the road. And so basically, Stoneco will provide additional 500 tons of gravel for roads annually, for a total of 1,200 tons annually is what they're gonna donate to Moscow to help re-gravel roads. Stoneco will build a cul-de-sac at the remaining end of Bivens Road. Stoneco will upgrade the gravel of the remaining portion of Bivens Road. Stoneco will provide an electric powered dry hydrant adjacent to the cul-de-sac for use by the fire department as a year-round water supply for emergency purposes. Stoneco will provide lighting at the cul-de-sac, which will provide security for the cul-de-sac and illuminate for the fire department's access. Stoneco has already retrofitted all equipment with directional backup alarms, which will only be audible from the direction from the rear of the vehicle, which I do know they have done that. Stoneco has increased the use of water on the roadways to reduce the dust generated. Right now, I think they've just been doing Bivens. I don't know if they've been doing Mosierville or not, but here's where it gets fun. Stoneco will provide, or be more involved with Moscow Township activities such as Halloween, fire department fundraising, and holiday turkeys, etc. Don't know what the holiday
Who
turkeys
gets the
come in.
turkey?
And then also Stoneco, in addition to will provide an additional $240,000 for compensation for the loss of approximately 1,200 foot of Bivens Road.
So who does that money go to?
My question is, one, why does a township get paid for losing our road? It's not the township's road, it's our road. I've kind of addressed it with Brad, but I'm like, so far you haven't come to the road commission and
Offered us one
offered
dime.
anything as to why it should be abandoned. Now, should we? I mean, I don't want it looking like we're getting paid to abandon a road, so,
That's why, if they do pay that, I'd rather see it go to the township. But the township use that money for match money, which would double their money. If they use that
Match
for match.
money, have restrictions on it that it has to go back into the roads.
yes.
Yes,
That they can't do general fund, they can't pay for their fire department with that money.
I would
And-
agree.
Great point.
And they were so poor this year that they didn't even brine.
Yes.
So there's gotta be stipulations that goes back into the roads.
Okay.
yeah, I agree with that.
Cause then it could be a match.
Yes.
And I can agree with that, and it doesn't put it on us that we're like
Being bought.
bought.
That we're being bought, or because I can also see the township saying, yes, it's our road, but to have any work done on that road, they always had to pay their share up to an excess of 50%. So is more, 50% or more of that, is that their money because they paid for that road? So I get that argument as well. So I like that it all goes to the township, but there's a restriction that they have to put it in a separate fund for road match purposes only.
Okay, I can work on that. I don't think that should be an issue. One thing that's not on here, because this is a kind of an older version of it, is that I talked to the township supervisor yesterday, and it sounds like either they've already done it or they're getting ready to actually just drill a well and put a new well next to the fire department. So the fire department can fill right there. And so he wasn't sure if they were gonna still do the dry hydrant.
Or
On
they're
the
just gonna drill
cul-de-sac
the
or
well
both.
that they need.
I don't know.
I would think they'd wanna do that just for fire purposes. Just to have an extra.
Well, but if their well isn't working at the fire department, I understand what he's trying to do is get that well drilled and them not have to pay for it, because they don't really have any money, they are,
I understand.
They have a well.
yes,
It's just an older, small well that takes
Right.
forever to fill the trucks.
right,
So this would be a bigger, higher volume well that could fill the trucks.
right.
It might even be an old 2-inch well.
It could, very well could be.
And it would get utilized much more than the one down on Bivens Road, and Bivens Road isn't that far from the fire station.
Not really.
To have two is better than to have.
Oh, I
sure,
agree, if they
sure.
would do two,
But that causes, I think like an extra lead for power for a generator to run that pump, and it adds a lot of.
I think they can use their trucks to fill that.
I don't know, because of the going over the berm whether the trucks can draw that
They've got,
volume.
Jonesville has one at Half Moon Lake. And
But it's probably not
there's
going
no power
over-
source there.
It's probably not going over berm, it's probably sucking right out of a lake or a stream or
Well,
something.
standpipe's about that tall.
Yeah, but not 30 foot up over the sound berm that's surrounding Stoneco's pit.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah, they can't have it right alongside
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
right
'cause
away.
there's a huge berm for sound for all the residents
Okay.
that's got to go over. So,
Well, then bore through it.
so
Okay.
what I'm hearing that township didn't get done was a 2 or 3 cent fee for everything coming out of there.
not that I
They
know.
didn't get a paved road,
No.
and the conversation I had with Bill Petrie is, hey, they don't like the idea of giving you a 2 or 3 cent, to the general fund, maybe they would do it for the,
Roads.
well, I was gonna say for the fire department. You know, directly funding the fire department versus their general fund.
I haven't been told that, and Bill's supposed to be sending me the latest and greatest of what they've got,
Okay.
so I can get all this together with the resolution where
I would
that,
like to see that before we go to resolution time, because again, I know we've been talking about this.
Yeah.
This sounds like the same thing they talked about,
pretty much,
there's been no changes,
pretty
and
much.
my frustration is Stone Cold said they would pave that road. I mean, I thought I heard that, and
I've never heard any of them say that, they kind of like, well, it's an option, but I never heard anybody say, yeah, that's something we could do.
so for road commission, our stance, would we prefer the $240,000 going to the township so they have match money, or would we prefer less of a payout and get a paved road? What would we prefer? What would we like?
Brown Road.
No. Oh my gosh.
I guess
No,
it's
that's not even the right township.
That is.
That is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking the other, the chip seal.
Yeah, no, that's Adams
Yeah,
Township.
that's, right, that's what I was thinking.
What I'd
Yeah.
prefer would be $500,000 for road usage long-term.
I don't know what a reasonable number is, so I can't argue that one. I just don't know what it is.
If the people, said they really don't want a blacktop road, and Stone Cove, from what I heard the last time they were here, this is really important to them, because if they don't, they're gonna have to,
Put a, pipeline in, or,
They have to go underground.
and long-term, this opens up an avenue for them to have sellable property down the road when they're done taking material out of here.
They're not selling it, they're giving it to the township, and there's not, and when they give it to the township, I think it's a liability to the township, because
I do
the
too.
township doesn't have
yeah,
the money
there's
to
not-
do anything
and
with
there's
it
not gonna be enough.
for buildable lots.
Buildable lots, or
Reminded to the extreme, the
you just.
boundaries.
The width of the berm to build
We
on,
could build a small house.
yeah.
Anyway,
But anyway, that's, yeah.
It's worth asking,
Yeah,
Well,
and maybe maybe you don't get $500,000, but maybe you get 350 or 400,000.
okay,
Not to us.
No,
Count.
to the township, that has to be,
and I was figuring, just depending on what they did with it, if they took, like normally right now, we're using 1,500 yards or 2,250 tons of gravel is what we're spotting in all the townships. If they just took that 240,000 and used it just for that, and then also got the 1,200 tons from Stone Cove, they would have 2,500 tons
of gravel
of gravel every year, and that would, as a minimum, last them 10 years.
and that would do a lot for Moscow Township roads.
Yes, it
Yeah.
would.
If it was put to that, so. You could easily blow that on one paper. I mean,
Right.
Put that on Addison Road.
so anyway, hopefully next board meeting, I can have all that info, so you can again
Okay.
chew it over, discuss it,
Very good.
and have that meeting before
Yep.
we have to
Then we can-
make a.
I just think that if this thing is really that important to Stone Cold, that $240,000 number could go up with some negotiating. Worth a try.
If
I'm not doing the negotiating, somebody else has to do the negotiating.
If that's not the case, then, if we're gonna give them 240,000, give the township 2,000
Give the
yards of gravel
give more gravel,
instead of 500.
right, if they're not willing to take
I
that
think
number
they'd go
higher.
for that before they're gonna go for the extra money.
Okay, so basically in a nutshell, this is the resolution that we got from Chris for Moscow to vote on and approve, but the bottom part of it basically reads, now therefore it's resolved that the Township Board of Moscow believes that and the wording had to get changed, and that's why I went to the lawyers. It needs to be said, the absolute abandonment and discontinuance of this segment of Bivens Road is in the best interest of the citizens of Moscow Township and of the public generally, and respectfully ask the Hillsdale County Road Commission to proceed with the necessary steps to absolutely abandon and discontinue the northernmost 1,200 feet of Bivens Road. And so that's the resolution ending that they would sign, but it talks about all the different whereases in here, but, and then we'll have the same one basically for you that we'll get from Agrissa to go along with it. Alright. That's that part. So as Matt earlier talked about, he has also given us another agreement, which was before he gave us, and it talked about all the things that we would be responsible for if we tried to go under his drainage permits instead of going through Eagle. This one is totally different, doesn't have all those in it, and this is an agreement that I'm gonna, go over, I already sent it to McChrysop to make sure they're gonna be good with it. But basically it's to allow us to work under the Drain Commission's permits, especially when it comes to dealing with the county drains, and therefore we wouldn't have to go to Eagle. But at the same token, I'm gonna talk with Eagle to say, okay, if we sign this, are we gonna actually
Be able to utilize it.
or are you gonna come back saying no?
Yeah.
So that's just kind of one of the things we're looking at, just so you know, is to see if we can't go under his permits for at least some of the stuff and not deal.
We used to do that.
Well, I don't know, but Eagle and everybody's changed so much that.
Yeah.
That's that. Let me get to my regular updates here, I guess.
You found them? Okay. Right here.
He's had a lot to talk about.
Uh-huh. So, we've been out scraping all the gravel roads. I think we've been over everything once now. Like I said, on the 5th, we're gonna start actually scraping for brine, which will be basically 2 graders and 2 trucks. That'll cut the roads, float them off, and then the brine trucks will be behind them. We're in the process of cutting some of the trees on our project roads and trimming the canopy. I think Riker Road is in Litchfield. We got the trees cut, we just have to pop the stumps, and then we'll be able to use that new trailer we purchased to haul the stumps away. Nichols Road, same thing, the trees have been cut, we just have to dig up the stumps and haul them away. And those, well actually, Nichols and, where's the other one from
Summers,
Reading?
Hakes,
Hakes?
I think it's Hakes.
Okay, so Riker and Hakes are the last 2 left over from 23. And so that's trees, and then we'll debarm and that's the 24.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're gonna get those 2 done, but we're also been working on Nichols Road, Somerset Road, and Bird Lake Road trimming trees. And so we'll should be able to work all through all them and get them debermed and gravelled and hopefully get those out of the way and be done. All the salters have been removed out of the trucks. No more snow.
Can't smell anymore.
And if it does, it'll melt off the roads. They're warm enough.
I hope so.
I have seen snow on the 25th of April accumulate and then the thing was scraping.
Yeah.
We had frost on the 4th of July.
Okay, both of you can stop.
Although it's 80 today, and I don't think there'll be anything snowing tomorrow.
We've also started scraping the gravel shoulders on the state highways to get those shaped up. Let's see, as far as a lot of Heather's stuff. Elm Road Bridge. Hey, there's no muscle survey needed.
Oh,
Hooray!
So we're working with
Small
Charlie,
victories.
Charlie and the consultant to make the revisions to the Eagle permit and get that finally where it needs to be. So no muscles. Buckeye Road, west of Bird Lake Road, and Somerset Road, north of Stewart Road. We're getting proposals from consultants to do the design engineering and hydraulics for those. And then we'll move forward submitting them to Eagle. Territorial Road culvert, we'll be doing the detour signing ourselves and work on drawing up the detour plan. And we're still planning on routing them south into Ohio, and we worked with Ohio ODOT with that. And then, and MDOT for approval and placing the temporary signs. So,
Can I stop right there and just ask a question? I was in Montpelier, Ohio, earlier in the week, and I came home there on the intersection of 20 and 15, just south of Pioneer. There was a big sign that said, US 20 closed 6.5 miles east of here. I have no idea how long it's gonna be closed, but you know, with respect to our detour, you know, that would be the detour route for Territorial Road. So,
I don't know why it's closed or how long it's gonna be closed, but Heather's been working with them, and they didn't have any issue with what we were suggesting.
Hopefully it's temporary.
I thought it said bridge out.
Hold on a second.
She answered?
My thin walls.
It's scare.
Actually, she sits there and watches it sometimes. Well,
Have a good day, Mike.
she hasn't answered that question yet.
Okay.
Just looking at
But anyway, we have been working with ODOT, they didn't seem to have an issue with it. If not, we'll back up and regroup and, hoping to replace the culvert when Camden Road is completed, and that's June 20th. And before the stump drain works, which will be in July. So we're gotta schedule all these to where we're not routing detours into closed roads and closing too many things at a time, and so that's all getting balanced. She's still working on the plans with ODOT and MDOT. Thank you, Heather. Frontier Road, south of Burt Road culvert, again, we're talking with the Drain Commission, I'm working with them to replace that culvert. That's what brought up the agreement too, is to maybe get that done under his authority and not have to worry about going through the Eagle.
That's one thing that, issue was raised the last, Woodbridge Township Board meeting I went to, because somebody there claimed that this has been an ongoing issue for 3 years or more. There on Frontier, on Frontier Road, just south of Burke.
Okay. Let's see, the federal aid projects, Camden Road between Pittsburgh and Tripp. Michigan Paving got the bid. They changed the mixture, what they wanted, so we had to go through MDOT and go through, the contract modification and stuff. MDOT approved the mixture change as long as it was a better mixture at the same cost. And so I guess they agreed to that. It actually is gonna save us about 20,000 by doing this other mixture, so. We're gonna wind up trenching the shoulders on May 7th.
You're gonna do what to the shoulder?
Trenching. We're, taking out the dirt there so they can start their work. So we're doing some of the work, and then the contractor will do some of it too. So we're gonna trench the shoulders on May 7th and May 8th. Michigan Paving or their subs, whoever it be, will come in on Friday, May 9th, and or Saturday, May 10th, to spread the aggregate base. So they're gonna have to, kind of like we did on some of the other roads, we gotta spread gravel on top of asphalt before it gets pulverized. So they're gonna spread it and compact it so that it's at least drivable, people can drive across it, it's not bad. And then on Monday the 12th, they plan on coming in to pulverize it, and the project has to be done by June 20th. So,
And that's Camden Road.
Yeah,
Yes.
2 mile stretch from Pittsford Road west to Tripp Road.
So basically on Monday, the 12th, it's gonna get closed down and be closed until it's done. So
Be
for about a month.
Totally closed or just,
I think it'll be closed, cause they're pulverizing the whole thing and then they'll be shaping and all that.
When we did the other portion of Camden Road, I got buku calls because they had trenched out the berm or the shoulder
Shoulders, yep.
and never put it back. It was in the people's yards.
Oh, but this is gonna, I think we're planning, this is gonna get trenched out and brought in the road and we're picking it up. Cause if
Okay,
they pulverize in a little bit, they'll be
perfect,
mixed,
because
it's
that
not
was
gonna
a big complaint.
And then we'll have new shoulder gravel, once everything's repaid, new shoulder gravel.
So
put
that
in
should
there to
slow up.
hold it.
okay, so this brings up another issue. This is planting time. You got a 2 mile stretch there that the only access to some of those farms, some of those fields is Camden Road. I don't see that you can totally close it to agricultural traffic.
The farmers are gonna go around the road closure anyway, but, I mean, work's work, we gotta, let me see what she's saying now. They are gonna try to maintain local traffic.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yep,
Close
they're
to through
picking up the berm, she told me, yep.
Good.
Local traffic should be maintained, will not be totally closed, we will put up barricades, but local traffic will still be allowed. They'll say local traffic only on the barricades.
I have known farmers to move barricades.
Well, it happened.
No, and the residents will go around it, and,
2 or 3
but at
years
least
ago,
we're
it
warned, I'm
happened.
saying it's closed, and if they get, basically if they, anything happens while they're in there, it's gonna be on them, and they'll get cited for it, for being in the closed.
Just, you know, Bob understands this, the rest of you may not, but Cliff Feather farms a majority,
Yes.
and his boy is a majority of the ground in that area.
I'm gonna go through the fields.
If you told them that, they might bury you there.
You know, Cliff Feather? Uh-huh.
He knows Cliff Feather.
And she says Cliff will be fine.
I'm glad Heather thinks so.
If there's any complaints.
She's my
send
comedy
Heather.
relief all day. Let's see, other federal aid projects, the bid letting was April 4th. Which one is this one?
Concord hearing.
Okay, so that's the 2025 federal aid projects. The bid was let on April 4th, Lakeland Asphalt got the bid. Our engineer estimate was at 1.17 million, and they came in at 923,000, so pretty good. And that's for Concord Herring and Jonesville that we've been talking about.
Yeah, just,
Does that mean we have more money to spend other places?
No. Well, yes, but it's not really more money, it's just we
We have
don't spend
money.
as much. And some of that, I mean, we only pay a portion of that anyway, 'cause that's federal aid. But
Okay, so we save the federal aid money, do we get to keep that money and spend it somewhere else with the federal aid
No.
type? No, it goes back to the,
Yeah.
okay, that was kind of
Yeah.
my question,
Oh, yeah, okay, no, it doesn't,
okay,
we don't get to keep the savings.
okay.
the Lord giveth, and the Lord taketh away.
I get it, it's worth the question though.
As far as our bridge maintenance stuff, she's
Oh,
putting together.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes.
How come all our asphalt prices have gone up? How did they come in under? So much under?
They're their own
They
company.
might be local, they're.
Lakeland's an asphalt
localizations.
company in Battle Creek. They don't normally bid on a lot of our stuff, but for some reason they did, and they came in lower, but they make their own mix, so.
And Michigan Paving didn't, where were they in the mix? I was just
Michigan
curious.
Paving came in at 1 point, right at 1 million.
Right, oh, so
Gherkin
not much
Paving.
difference then.
Not much, they came in at 1.004 million. Gherkin came in at 1.008 million. Lakeland came in at 923,000.
So of those three companies, which one do we think does the best job on roads?
They all do okay.
They gotta
Okay.
make a certain mix.
It's because it's the first time I've heard of Lakeland. you know.
I've
No, I've
dealt
been here all
with
that
Lakeland a
long.
lot from Jackson,
Okay.
you know, and I was in Calhoun for quite a while. So they're just like any other, they're kind of like Gherkin. Michigan Paving is the
Okay.
big dog on the block. And then you got, you know, your Gherkins, your Lakelands, your, what's the one up in Mason? Anyway,
I can't think of it.
they're still very reputable companies and do a good job, but they can kind of, I don't want to say they're mom and pop, but they can kind of,
A little more flexibility,
Yeah.
maybe.
where Michigan Paving is kind of like, this is the estimate. Right. But they're all close. I mean, they're all within
Yeah, they were full.
$70,000
Yeah.
of $1 million project.
Well, and that's why I asked the question, if there's one that we really do prefer, because we think they do superior work, I would advocate for going back and saying, hey, we really want these other people to do it.
I think we'd have a hard time defending that.
Okay, and that's why I asked the question. So, all right.
And the one in Mason is Reese Riley.
That's who I was thinking. That's what I was thinking, Reese Riley.
Good old Heather.
The walls continue to speak.
Let's see. So, I have been told, and I'll check on Monday, that Blaine's gonna be out there to do the grading that he needs to do this weekend. We went out and looked at, he also wants that part of Monte Carlo paved. So he wants a project and he's gonna pay for it, for that. And so we went out and did some estimating to see what it was gonna cost.
What township is that in? again?
Amboy,
Amboy, thank you.
Lake Diane.
That's right.
And so, not any uncertain terms, I told him we won't do anything with Monte Carlo until the grading's done.
Yeah,
So what we expect.
absolutely.
But they went out and did some measurements, and it's gonna take like a new cross tube at from Sellers or where Monte Carlo comes into, it'll take a cross tube, it'll take some fill and some drainage, some extra gravel, and then I think we figured 4.5 inches asphalt, 2 lifts of, I think we should figure 1 lift of base for 2.5 inches and 1 lift for the top for 2 inches. Cause he's got heavy equipment that he's gonna run in there, so it's gonna need to be a little heavier and it paves up by his place and just almost down the hill to where there's another driveway that's not his. But then we still have to go down the hill where, I don't know if you're familiar with that area, there's a new pole barn sitting down there. It's flooded now, every time it rains, it floods. And so we're probably gonna have to put in a cross tube right there to hook into another one that goes out to the lake to help that person out, so we're not running too much water down to him. I was looking what Heather was sending, but, so anyway, and if he says he's gonna pay for it, but I would say he's gotta pay the entire thing up front before we do anything, and we'll go from there.
So when you say he's gonna pay for it, he's gonna pay the township share and the road commission
No,
is still
he's
gonna pay?
paying for it,
So he's gonna pay township share and road commission share?
yes.
Okay,
This is
that's
The
what I
only,
wanted to verify.
well, the only thing we provide is some of our equipment and labor. But he's gonna pay for all the material, you know, anything like that. If we had to have a contract come in, he's gonna have to pay for it. But that'll be a total contract, just like what we do for a township, but we require
100%.
So yes, you'd
prepaid.
be doing the township share.
So essentially
That's
he's
what she
paying,
asked.
yeah, so essentially
Because
he's
we'd be
doing,
your labor, you just said would be,
Yeah, I guess, yeah, he'd be paying 100% materials.
because we're gonna do the paving.
Yeah, that's not very long a stretch. It's-
right. And so if we end up getting it contracted out, we won't be paying, he'll be paying 100%, if for some reason that happens. And that is in the agreement.
We would, yeah, it'll all be written out, but no matter what, I think we're gonna do the legwork. He's got equipment that he's gonna shape the sides and all that kind of stuff, but, we'd have to haul in the gravel, you know, put in the tube, you know, get it ready, whether we pay him or a contractor, I guess at that point, probably doesn't make a hell of beans. Well, yeah, whether he pay for it or we do our labor and equipment, but.
What kind of dollars is that project?
We're still, see, Heather reminds me all the time. So that his contract, according to the pavement, or according to the cost share policy, is 100% materials and 50% of labor and equipment. That's what our cost share calls for. So really, we'd be putting in 50%. It should be about 50,000 total, he'd pay 37,000. So,
Not as bad as I thought.
it's not a very big,
No,
very long stuff. I would love to see if the township eventually would join in and do that subdivision. I think you tried when in Lake Van was done, and there was some interest, but I guess not enough. But there may be now. And if we get this part paved, maybe the rest of the residents would say, hey, and get with the township to,
under special assessment.
or it's a township project. I mean,
Yeah, either way.
it's 450 foot long. It's,
So that's less than I thought it was gonna be.
yeah, it's not that far, but. All right. But all said and done, he's got to do his stuff first, so. We got some bids going out, and you'll probably see them coming back to approve them the next 2 meetings. We've got bids coming back in, 2 or 3 next meeting, and 1 or 2 after that.
I think it's just one.
Just one after that.
I'll have to check.
They've been out measuring primary roads where we need paver patching, because that's what we're gonna concentrate on this year. We didn't take any new ditch or deburn from the townships. All we did was paver patch and chip seal, then the normal brine and gravel. But right now, we're easily looking at $1 million to just paver patch a bunch of spots.
How many miles
In the two.
approximately?
Oh, I couldn't even tell you, because they drove most of the county. So it's like a couple hundred yards here, you know, it's just spots everywhere. And then we're gonna have to Katie's gonna have to sit down with us, figure out exactly how much of the budget we've got that we think we can't afford to pave it all right now, because a lot of it's not gonna get paid until in the fall, and we don't get the MPF.
Right.
All at once, it comes all year long, so we gotta figure out how to get as much done as we can, but yet still be able to maintain our budget, you know, so. But there's a lot out there, we could easily go through $1 million.
So when you say $1 million, does that include the chip and fog seal afterward?
No, that's
Just paper,
paver patch.
material for paper patch.
Because don't we need to chip and fog seal as well, those spots?
We're not gonna be able to this year.
Well, okay, problem. We just said Scipio Township, we wanna do that and make sure you get that done, and we're gonna split your costs.
Mhm.
But on our own stuff, we're not gonna do the right thing?
Is the right thing, and this is kind of where it's in our wheelhouse, is the right thing to fix those really bad spots right now and worry about chipping it maybe next year, or do a few of them and leave a whole lot of bad spots that we didn't do nothing to?
Well, I don't know, you tell me, what's the longevity of the road? Why
Well,
are we
that's-
better off going this way?
Because we got so many bad spots, we can't afford to chip everything. And it might be, some of them might be a bad spot here, and a quarter mile down the road, another bad spot, and might be little, some of them might be a lot of them. But by the time you do your paver patching, and then if you're gonna spend the money to chip seal, that's a whole lot more paver patching you can't do.
I get that, I know that based on the numbers that Wasco, or Scipio Township's made.
We'd be all right if we chip seal.
And if we
here.
could say, well, we'll pay for the chip seal 3 years down the road to the contractor, great, but that doesn't work.
No, I know.
So, we're making the decision that we need to paver patch primary roads and get as many spots as we can healed in. Then we'll worry about chip sealing and stuff next year, or it might even be 2 years of paver patching, and then try to seal it in. Is it ideal? No, but there's so many bad spots that are like the Jerome Road that we had to grind up. It got so bad we had to grind it up. We can't afford to do that everywhere. So we gotta paver patch in where we can, and sometimes it takes 2 or 3 years to paver patch in a road, then you can seal the whole thing, and is it ideal? No, but I think it's the world we're in right now, and we probably spent the last 2.5 years working a lot of local roads. We didn't do that much we did the drastic things on primary roads, and we need to get asphalt down, paver patch in some of these bad spots, and there's gonna be some spots that we're gonna have to call in a mill and grind it up. Sounds like the company we used is willing to come in like on an hourly or daily basis to do some of that for us if we need to, but, if we can paver patch it, that's,
So have we ground up that section of Jerome Road?
oh yes, yeah, Jerome, and then Walworth, where Jerome cuts off and it goes straight. There's 3 spots on there, and then 1 big spot on Jerome. We brined it to try to lock it in for a little bit, not get dusty. And as soon as the asphalt plants open up, those will be some of those spots that get paved.
They're not open yet?
They're all open. It's just, it was pulverized, compacted, and.
No, I meant
Oh.
the asphalt plant.
No.
It's gotta be closed.
Oh, they're close, but none of them that I've heard have even opened up yet. Michigan paving, I want to say the first week of May.
Okay.
But they normally go by what MDOT starts doing. When MDOT starts working, they'll open the plants up because they get enough volume with MDOT. We're peanuts. Even if we do $1 million worth of asphalt, we're peanuts to them when it comes to the material. But so I've got a huge list of roads that we want to try to do, but we're gonna have to narrow them down. We're gonna have to prioritize which ones needed the work, which ones are gonna have to get ground, which ones may have to wait until next year. Because we can't get them all.
Do the best ones first.
Yeah.
One of the things is the pavement marking, that's one's out for bid.
This says it'll go out in the next few weeks.
Oh, okay, she's still working on that one. Let's see.
Brush control, what quadrant of the county are we doing this year? Somebody asked me that.
I believe we're in the northeast.
Okay.
So guardrail, they're probably almost done with it. They've already sprayed guardrail, and if they're not done, it's only a couple more days. They'll be done with guardrail spraying. Then that'll be, what do we got here? All right, so they're looking at about 12 miles of it and spread across several patches for 13,750 tons, 2 inches thick is what and we estimate, I believe, 115 or 120 a ton placed.
So back to your, okay. You
That
were
was
in
back-
middle, you
yeah,
were in
that was
middle
back to the
talking
asphalt,
about
yep.
the,
Yep.
Now, what was that all about?
I know.
12
That was
miles
just how
of
they
paper
kicked it.
patch,
Oh,
That was how they're kicking it.
okay.
all throughout all the county.
Yeah.
But 12 total miles,
About, yes.
About.
But-
approximately.
So if we can get a lot of that done and still not like deplete us to the end of the year, we may have to dig into the CD. But I'd rather not.
I'd rather not.
Okay, more onto that. So the 2 high reaches that we talked about and you approved a couple months, probably about a month ago. I was talking about buying, but then we decided we didn't want them because the engines were like the max force engines, we didn't want them. Well, he has found 2 more that are in that same ballpark of 41, 42,000 for the both of them. The same basic condition, but it does have a Cummins engines in them, so we're not scared of those. Can I still, if they go look at them and see they're good, can I still use that same approval that you gave me before, or do I need to ask for
Forgiveness.
new ones? What's
Can
your
I
thoughts?
provide you something?
Yeah.
I think you'd need new ones, because when we did the motion, we needed the vendor in it. Is it the same vendor?
Yes.
That was my question. That's a,
Same vendor, he's within 1,000 of what he had for the last one. I think we said 45,000 was what we could go to. It was like a 41, these are 42. So it's
So it's
still,
underneath the
yeah.
45,
yeah,
and it's with the same vendor.
so, I don't know, what's your,
You must have
what's
proved
your
that when
pleasure?
I was gone.
What's that?
You must have proved that when I was gone.
Yep,
Yeah, probably.
you know, you need to stick around more.
Yeah.
So,
My vote would be you get them, because the old High Ranger we got is an old High Ranger.
And we did-
We still got the man lift.
the man left, but again, during that discussion, you weren't here, we said that if we were to get two High Rangers, that we could look at selling the man lift, and it's still in decent shape, I could probably get about 20,000 out of it. So that's about half of what these two, it'd be like one of them getting paid for with the high.
Isn't it an 80-footer? Is it an 80-footer?
These trucks,
No, 80-foot, the man lift.
I think it's 70 or 75.
But isn't that the one that you said it's not a lot of people on it?
Well, and you gotta haul it.
And you gotta haul it everywhere, you can't just run, it goes like
Yeah.
2 miles an hour down the road. We have got a few people to bid on them here lately though, cause they think that with the contract coming up, it's gonna get paid more. And so we've had a few people bid on it, figuring that's what's gonna come up down the road. But the high reaches, I think would be a little better fit for what we need to do. We don't walk down too many roads, just having the road closed and clearing the canopy, and that's what that's good for.
Yeah.
We go out and get hangers and specific trees and so.
You're-
What?
No, go ahead.
I'd move, we go ahead and
Do
get
you,
the,
do you need a motion on it, or?
Well, I think the
I think
question
we
is,
probably
are
should.
we gonna use the other motion that we're dealing with the same, money cap and the same vendor? And so if it's the same money cap, same vendor, and we're doing the same thing, I don't know that we need
It's
another
just
motion.
different trucks, yes.
Yeah, I
Correct.
don't think we do.
I don't
Alright,
think we
that's
do.
what I was wondering, if
Right,
that could
now-
happen, if not,
Yes, if the money cap or the vendor change, then I think, yes, we need a new motion.
And I'm gonna double check the previous
Yes,
motion
yes.
afterwards to make
Yes.
sure we're
We're
covered.
covered. And if
Okay.
not, you'll be coming back and
Correct.
we'll update it,
Yeah.
so. Knowing that we are in favor of you guys going forward with this, so.
okay.
Yep.
Next thing, that same vendor has a SUV that we could pick up fairly cheap. It's basically equivalent to, it's an Explorer, equivalent to what I used to have for Jackson. It's 2 years older than that one, it's a 2015, so it's a 10-year-old vehicle. But supposedly it's in really good shape, it's a ex-fleece vehicle, I think. It still has the plastic hard seats in the back that we'd have to replace the
Then we
seats.
got a siren with it.
Bless you.
But actually, it's like, that would be under my pen authority, but I still wanna bring it to you, cause it's a vehicle. It's like $5,500 to get that.
you can haul how many people on it?
That'd be 4. I mean 3 if you wanna get cozy in the back, but
So who are you buying it for?
that would go to the manager, me, in my position. My truck would go to Heather, and
What are you currently driving?
the truck that used to be Heather's.
And Heather doesn't have a truck,
No, she has nothing.
and we don't have to provide her with it.
Yes, we do.
We do.
Mhm.
And she'll be out doing inspections and stuff on when we start doing all these projects. So
And she'll need a
She's a-
truck, yeah.
she should have had one before now, but we didn't have none.
Right.
So that's $5,500,
Yes.
and we're not buying a money pit.
No, it actually looks pretty good, and Joe's going through it and didn't appear to be.
Cause I figure I assume it's high mileage.
Actually, it was like 126 or something like that, which for a 10-year-old vehicle,
It's not bad at all.
that's not bad.
I drive a 10-year-old van with 118,000 miles on it, and we took it to Virginia.
My personal truck's 22 years old and it's got 180 on it.
Mine's a 2018, it's got 121,000.
I would move we authorize the purchase of this 2015 Explorer.
Support.
Any more discussion?
Do we have to authorize any money to be spent on it, or it's gonna be drivable as is?
Other than replacing the back seat, it's drivable as is.
And how much is that gonna cost?
You could
I
probably
think Joe
trade
said-
with the sheriff's office.
What's that?
You could probably trade with the sheriff's office.
Might be able to, because they automatically take out
Okay.
the back seats and
Okay.
put in those plastic
You
seats.
get
But
one on
if we had to buy a new seat to put in, it's $1,000.
What about a
Well,
junkyard one?
that's almost a quarter of the price of the truck, that's a lot,
No,
that's a huge upgrade.
But it's a seat. They're literally plastic, molded plastic, so that the drunk puke can, everything that needs to
Well,
be.
yeah.
Is that new, that seat, or junkyard?
That was new.
I'd assume a junkyard, you might get it for
Well, like-
$5.
Like Quinn says, as long as it matches, they probably have a stockpile of,
Oh, that's right,
Do
they take them
they
out.
keep those up there?
I know Jackson does.
Does it have to
They
be?
swap vehicles, the insides in and out all the time, I'm
Well, I
not
would
sure.
talk to them then,
I would,
and see if
I mean,
we
we-
can do
But you
something.
really
And
don't
if we
need
have
one
to
that
pay,
matches though.
not, if it was something that was relatively new, we only had to pay $250 for it from them, I would prefer that.
Are you looking for leather or?
I don't care.
And-
I'll leave the plastic, but the poor guy's riding in the back.
The township supervisor.
And if our sheriff's office doesn't have something, maybe Jackson or Branch or Wayne would.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please be frugal. I hate to pay 25% for a seat, 25% of the purchase price of the truck.
You may ride back there someday.
And you'll be happy.
You don't wanna deal with plastic.
I'll bring my pillow.
You want leather then?
No, I'll bring my pillow.
With all of these, it's gonna be based on, looking them over, making sure
Right.
they're what we want,
Right.
and if we don't like them, we won't get them.
Yeah.
But,
Right, we got a motion we haven't voted on yet, to allow Bob to buy the Explorer. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same.
All right, Bob.
okay, so we already do we wanna go over the coffer dams again at the parks? Alright.
You're gonna move forward on that, find out more information, yes.
Yeah, we
I actually already sent the lady from the dam place. Just see if she got any update on it, cause they were supposed to come down the inspection, but I haven't really heard anything, and it kinda scares me. So we'll see what she replies back there. We have got to move forward with the fuel pumps, I'm still hounding Joe to give me that last quote from Mercer, and if not, we might just have to press forward with the quote we got. We may take off have the capability built in, but take off the canopy, and maybe at a later date, add the canopy. But as long as the foundation's there, I think that shouldn't be an issue.
Now we're down to one pump, right?
No, actually, they figured it out.
Did
Somebody hit the emergency stop.
Oh.
So it does work, so we still have two diesel pumps. But if those go down, it's gotta be done this year. If those go down on us,
There's no repair to them.
yep, so I will, within the next meeting or two, I'll be bringing you something on what we finally,
What are we looking at, ballpark cost?
oh shoot, what did I tell you? I think it'll be in the 200,000 range.
Have the L pump fuel? Pretty important.
Well, that and if you go to the card system, it'll be a lot simpler for the girls.
Oh, it'll help immensely
Put
for
it on here.
accountability and inventory and all that would be much better, but
Yep.
Because without the card, they're not gonna get any fuel.
It'll be over there, yeah, cause Chris does all the fuel. So,
Was it gonna have each truck have a card?
yes. It depends on the system. Each individual have a card, and then you put your truck number in that you're fueling. Some have a card for the individual and the vehicle, some just have for the vehicle. It really depends on,
We had each
What you
truck
get,
have
so.
a card and you had to put the mileage in.
Yeah.
Or no, hours. You had to put
Yeah.
hours in.
and you can put that where it mandates that you put in hours before it lets you operate the pump. But once we figure out that quote, that will definitely have to go to a bid, so that'll be like a couple weeks to put the bid out and all that kind of stuff, but we gotta get it rolling. I think I can be quiet for a while. Who's got questions?
Okay, just a quick one here. Sometime within the last week, I called in, there's a bridge abutment on Bankers Road near Blair Road.
Yep.
Is somebody getting up to take a look at that? It almost looks to me like somebody hit the thing,
They did, a couple of years ago.
yeah.
It's been like that, there's not a lot we can do with it. Until such time as that gets replaced, there's not a lot. Doesn't look great, but it's
No.
not.
Well, was it like that the last time the bridge was inspected?
I don't know, because they do certain bridges, certain years and all that, so I don't know, but, it's really more of a cosmetic. And it's not anything, it's like the size of it.
Yeah.
And so it's really broke off. And there might be some rebar that we might need to cut off there, so there's not a point.
Jagged edge.
Yeah. But it's more of a aesthetics thing than structural. But we did know about it, and I think you called in a few different things, we put them in as service requests.
Yeah.
Any old business? Okay. New business. Approval of township agreements. Ransom, Pittsburgh, Litchfield, Wheatland.
So I do have a question with regard to ransom. I know I saw you out there one day, Bob, on that 1 mile bad section of Burke Road, and you were doing some markings and so forth. So have they decided that they don't wanna spend the money this year, or don't have the money to
Yeah,
spend?
they elected to not do that this year.
Okay.
They want to, but I think this is all they.
Okay, that's good.
You got them a contract for just the paving?
Yes, I think we signed 2 different contracts for 2 different volumes, of like, one was like 500 tons for paper patching, one was like 1,000, and this is what they,
Oh, okay, so they know
Came
what
back.
that is.
and then, they were big, when you talk 500 tons of
Yeah,
asphalt, that's a chunk of change, so.
And this is a lot for ransom,
Yeah, this is actually more than what they normally do. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot more.
Well,
they're trying to save that road to the cemetery. is what they're
Yes.
trying
yeah,
to do.
that 1 month.
Yes.
And I don't blame them, but. Okay,
I would move that we approve the township contracts with Ransom, Pittsburgh, Litchfield, and Wheatland townships.
Support.
any more discussion? If not, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. We have 2 separate ones. They wanna start down there. Start here.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah.